Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that you owe tens of thousands of dollars, and you didn't even fully understand what you signed up for. Sounds scary, right? That's the reality for millions of Americans with student loans. But here's the good news. Understanding federal student loans can save you from years of financial stress. And today, we're breaking it all down in the simplest way possible. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what federal student loans are, how they work, which one might be best for you, and how to pay them off smartly. And I'll share one insider tip that can literally save you thousands of dollars in repayment. Ready? Let's jump in. Number 1. What exactly are federal student loans? Before we dive deep, let's start simple. A federal student loan is money borrowed from the United States Department of Education to help pay for college or career school. Unlike private loans from banks or credit unions, these are backed by the government. Here's what makes them unique. Federal loans usually have lower interest rates, more flexible repayment options, and safety nets if you face financial hardship. Think of it like this. Let's say you need $20,000 to go to college. A private bank might lend it to you, but could charge a high interest rate and demand payment even if you're unemployed. The federal government, on the other hand, lends you that money with lower rates and gives you flexible repayment plans once you graduate. So, yes, federal student loans are designed to help, not trap you. Number 2. The different types of federal student loans. There are 3 main types: direct subsidized loans, direct unsubsidized loans, and direct plus loans. Let's unpack them one by one. Direct subsidized loans are for undergraduate students who show financial need. Here's the best part. The government pays the interest while you're in school. So if you borrow $5,000 as a freshman, that amount stays $5,000 until you graduate. Direct unsubsidized loans, on the other hand, are available to both undergraduate and graduate students, but the government doesn't cover your interest. That means your loan balance starts growing from the day it's disbursed. Finally, there are direct plus loans. These are for graduate students and parents of undergrads. They can cover the full cost of attendance minus other aid, but they do have higher interest rates and a credit check requirement. Here's a quick example. Imagine Sarah, an undergrad from a low-income family, qualifies for a subsidized loan. Meanwhile, her friend Jake, whose family earns more, might only qualify for an unsubsidized loan. Both get help, but the details differ. Number 3. How to apply for federal student loans. The process starts with something called the FAFSA, the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. You fill it out every year at FAFSA.gov. The form asks for your family's income, assets, and household details. Then, your school uses that data to figure out what types of aid you qualify for, including grants, scholarships, and loans. Here's a tip. Even if you think your family earns too much, fill out the FAFSA anyway. You might still qualify for unsubsidized loans, which don't depend on financial need. Once you submit the FAFSA, you'll get something called a student aid report. Review it carefully, make corrections if needed, and then wait for your college to send your financial aid offer. This offer will tell you exactly how much federal loan money you can borrow. Number 4. Understanding interest and how it works. Interest is basically the cost of borrowing money. Federal loans have fixed interest rates, meaning they don't change over time. But here's something most students don't realize. Interest can grow quickly if you ignore it. Let's say you take out an unsubsidized loan for $10,000 at 5% interest. After a year, that's $500 in interest. If you don't pay it, that amount gets added to your loan balance when you start repayment. That's called capitalization, and it means you'll be paying interest on interest. The trick is simple. If you can, pay off the interest while you're still in school. Even $20 a month helps reduce future costs. Number 5. When and how you start repaying. Here's a sigh of relief. You don't start paying immediately. Most federal loans give you a 6-month grace period after graduation before payments begin. Once repayment starts, you can choose from several repayment plans. The standard plan spreads payments over 10 years. But if that's too tight, you can switch to income-driven repayment plans. These plans calculate your monthly payment based on your income and family size. If you earn less, you pay less. And after 20 or 25 years, any remaining balance can be forgiven. For example, if you graduate and start earning $30,000 per year, You might pay only around $150 a month under an income-driven plan instead of $400 on the standard one. Number 6. The power of loan forgiveness. Yes, federal student loans can be forgiven, but not for everyone. The most popular program is Public Service Loan Forgiveness, or PSLF. If you work for the government or a nonprofit organization and make 120 qualifying monthly payments under an income-driven plan, the rest of your balance is forgiven. That means teachers, nurses, police officers, and other public service workers can potentially have tens of thousands wiped out tax-free. For example, if you borrow $60,000 and pay around $300 a month for 10 years while working at a qualifying nonprofit, your remaining balance could be completely forgiven. There are also forgiveness options for teachers in certain state programs, so always check what applies to you. Number 7. What happens if you don't pay? Ignoring your student loans can have serious consequences. After 90 days of missed payments, your loan becomes delinquent. After 270 days, about 9 months, it goes into default. That means your credit score drops, your wages can be garnished, and the government can even take your tax refund. But don't panic, there are ways to fix it. You can rehabilitate a defaulted loan by making a series of on-time payments or consolidate it into a new loan to get back on track. The key is communication. Always contact your loan servicer if you're struggling. They'd rather help you adjust your plan than watch you default. Number 8. Smart tips to manage your federal loans. Managing loans doesn't have to be stressful. Tip 1. Know exactly what you owe. You can log into studentaid.gov to see all your loans in one place. Tip 2. Set up autopay. This not only helps you avoid missed payments, but can also lower your interest rate slightly, usually by 0.25%. Tip 3. Make extra payments when possible. Even $10 or $20 a month extra goes straight to your principal, which helps you pay off faster. Tip 4. If your income changes, update your repayment plan. Federal loans are flexible, but you must inform your servicer to adjust payments. And tip 5. Stay organized. Keep all emails, letters, and loan documents in one folder so you never miss an update. Number 9. How federal loans compare to private loans. Many students wonder, why not just get a private loan from a bank? Well, here's the thing. Private loans often have higher interest rates, stricter repayment terms, and fewer protections. For example, if you lose your job, federal loans can pause payments through deferment or forbearance. Private lenders? Usually not. Federal loans also offer forgiveness programs, while private loans almost never do. So, if you have the option, always max out your federal loans before considering private ones. Number 10. The future of federal student loans. Student loans are a big topic in Washington, and policies change often. For example, recent years have brought temporary relief measures, payment pauses, and even new forgiveness rules. The government is also working on simplifying repayment plans and improving borrower support. So, it's important to stay updated through official channels like studentaid.gov, not random social media posts. Remember, being informed is your best defense against confusion and misinformation. Number 11. Hidden benefits most borrowers miss. Did you know federal loans come with built-in protections you might not know about? For instance, if you become permanently disabled, you can apply for a discharge that cancels your loan completely. Or, if your school closes while you're enrolled, you might be eligible for loan discharge too. There's even a death discharge, meaning your family won't be stuck with your loan if something happens to you. And here's another gem. During deferment or forbearance, you can pause payments temporarily without hurting your credit. These are safety nets that make federal loans far more forgiving than private ones. Number 12. How to pay off faster without losing your mind. Let's be honest, no one enjoys paying student loans. But a few smart moves can shave years off your repayment. Start by making bi-weekly payments instead of monthly. That adds one extra full payment each year without you even noticing. Next, round up your payments. If your monthly bill is $185, make it $200. That extra $15 directly reduces your principal. And whenever you get a tax refund or work bonus, throw a chunk of it at your loan. Every dollar counts. Imagine owing $30,000 and paying just $20 extra each month. You could finish almost 2 years earlier and save over $2,000 in interest. Small steps make a big difference. Number 13. The common myths you should forget. There are a lot of myths floating around. Let's clear them up. Myth 1. You can't go bankrupt with student loans. While it's difficult, it's not impossible. Some people do qualify under special hardship conditions. Myth 2. All loans get forgiven automatically after 10 years. That's false. You must meet the exact requirements, such as working in public service and being on the right repayment plan. Myth 3. You should always refinance to a lower rate. Not always. Refinancing with a private lender means losing federal protections like forgiveness and income-driven options. So, before you make any move, weigh the pros and cons carefully. Number 14. The secret to staying financially free after graduation. Once you graduate, it's easy to ignore your loans, but that's the biggest mistake people make. Create a realistic budget. Include your student loan payment like it's a rent bill. It's non-negotiable. Next, build an emergency fund with at least 3 months of expenses. Life happens, and this cushion keeps you from missing payments. And lastly, keep learning about personal finance. The more you understand money, the faster you'll gain freedom from debt. Remember, student loans aren't a life sentence. They're a stepping stone. Number 15. Understanding loan servicers and their role. Once your loan is approved, you'll be assigned a loan servicer. This is the company that handles your billing, repayment plans, and questions after you graduate. Think of them as the middleman between you and the Department of Education. For example, if you borrowed a direct loan, your servicer might be Nelnet, Mohila, or Aidvantage. You'll send your payments to them, not directly to the government. It's crucial to log into your servicer's website regularly. Many people miss important updates because they ignore those emails. Staying connected helps you avoid surprises and keep your loan in good standing. Number 16. What deferment and forbearance really mean. Sometimes life throws curveballs, a job loss, illness, or other financial hardship. That's where deferment and forbearance come in. Deferment lets you pause payments for specific reasons, like unemployment or returning to school. During deferment on a subsidized loan, interest doesn't grow. Forbearance is similar but less ideal because interest keeps adding up. It's a short-term fix if you can't make payments right now. For instance, if you're laid off and looking for work, deferment gives you breathing room without penalty. But remember, it's a pause, not a solution. Use it wisely and plan to resume payments as soon as possible. Number 17. The importance of staying in touch with your school. Many students forget that their school's financial aid office can be a huge help. If you drop below half-time enrollment, graduate early, or transfer schools, your loan status may change. Your school must report this to your servicer. Failing to communicate can cause confusion about your grace period or repayment schedule. For example, imagine a student drops out mid-semester and doesn't tell anyone. Their 6-month grace period starts immediately, and by the time they realize it, they're already behind on payments. A quick email or call to your financial aid office can save you from unnecessary debt trouble. Number 18. What happens if you go back to school? Here's something cool. If you return to school at least half-time, your existing federal loans are automatically placed on in-school deferment. That means you don't have to make payments while studying, though interest may still accrue on unsubsidized loans. Let's say you finished your bachelor's degree, started paying your loan, and then enrolled in graduate school. You can pause payments until you finish again. This flexibility helps students continue their education without immediate financial pressure. Number 19. The truth about consolidation. Loan consolidation combines multiple federal loans into one big loan with a single monthly payment. This can simplify your life and make managing loans easier. It might even extend your repayment period, lowering your monthly payment. But here's the catch. Longer terms mean paying more interest over time. For example, if you consolidate a 10-year loan into a 20-year plan, your monthly bill drops, but total interest could double. Consolidation is great for organization, but always compare long-term costs before deciding. Number 20. The role of credit in your student loan journey. Federal student loans can shape your credit history, for better or worse. Making on-time payments builds a strong credit score, which helps you qualify for future loans, apartments, or even jobs. But missed or late payments damage your score quickly. Imagine you're consistent for 4 years, paying on time. That could boost your credit score by over 100 points. but skipping a few payments could erase that progress fast. Treat your student loan like any other important financial obligation. It's part of your credit story. Number 21. Can you refinance a federal student loan? Yes, but proceed with caution. You can refinance federal loans through a private lender to potentially get a lower interest rate. However, doing so means giving up all federal protections, income-driven plans, forgiveness programs, and deferment options. For example, if you refinance a 5% federal loan to a 4% private loan, you'll save a bit on interest. But if you ever lose your job, you'll have no payment flexibility. Refinancing can work for high earners with stable jobs, but for most borrowers, the federal benefits are worth keeping. Number 22. How to avoid scams and fake debt relief offers. Unfortunately, student loan scams are everywhere. If someone promises instant loan forgiveness or asks for an upfront fee, it's a red flag. The Department of Education never charges you for help, forgiveness, or consolidation. Scammers often pose as official agencies and try to collect payments or personal info. Always log in to studentaid.gov directly to check your status. Remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Number 23. The link between student loans and taxes. Here's something most people miss. Student loans and taxes are connected. For one, interest you pay on federal student loans can be tax deductible. You can deduct up to $2,500 each year, depending on your income. Also, if your loans are forgiven through income-driven repayment, the forgiven amount may count as taxable income in some cases. For example, if $20,000 is forgiven, you may owe taxes on that amount unless you qualify for a tax exemption. It's smart to check with a tax professional so you aren't caught off guard during tax season. Number 24. Why you should review your loan every year. Federal loans aren't a set-it-and-forget-it thing. Each year, review your balance, interest rate, and repayment plan. Life changes. Maybe you got a raise, had a child, or switched jobs. Your loan strategy should change with it. For instance, someone earning $25,000 last year and now earning $50,000 might want to switch from an income-driven plan to a standard one to pay off faster. Treat your student loan like an evolving financial tool, not a static burden. Number 25. Planning ahead with a payoff strategy. The earlier you plan, the easier repayment feels. Start by setting a target payoff date, say, within 8 years instead of 10. Then calculate how much extra you need to pay monthly to hit that goal. For example, adding just $30 more per month on a $20,000 loan can cut more than a year off your repayment. Visualizing your debt shrinking month by month turns repayment from a burden into motivation. So, now that you know how federal student loans work from start to finish, what's one thing you wish you'd known before borrowing? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your story.